Hey everybody, we are back again with another episode of the Capes Cast podcast. I'm Jeremy,
I'm Ryan.
and today we're talking about Batman Superman World's Finest issue 24. Yes,
Sir.
it is the end of the Return to Kingdom Come
Yeah.
arc, and I don't think I mean, we're going to say a lot, obviously, but like, I think you could sum up this whole book and this arc especially with like one word: damn.
Yeah. Or
Just
yeah.
damn, bro.
Yeah, dude.
This book is
This,
great.
I mean, there was a lot of great books that came out last week, but this is the one that was just like, all right,
Oh yeah,
you know, Ultimate Spider-Man was fantastic, but I feel like that's just setting up something
yeah,
still. But in this, it was an epilogue for this great story arc here for this, but it's also an epilogue for actual Kingdom Come.
yeah, yeah.
And we'll get into it because we were both a little confused when this first started. Like, is this a different timeline of Kingdom Come's universe? Is this Mark Waid gets it all
Yeah.
easy with a ribbon on it?
Because was it in an interview or was it like, I mean, obviously either way, if it was like a podcast interview or if it was like for an article, like I could have swore I remember him saying like it we kind of had to wait till the end to
Right,
find out if it was like a true sequel or like how it fit into that timeline. Because
right,
I remember him saying that like even like Alex Ross, like everything that they did in this, for the most part, like the big ideas kind of had his stamp of approval on it,
right, right.
which
And
was important for Wade because they made Kingdom Come together. So he didn't want to like do all these things and then, it and then not, go by Ross and have his approval at the end because it's as much his creation as it is Wade's.
right. And if I can't have Ross, damn it, I better have Mora. So
That's right.
you know,
That's right, dude.
yeah, man, his incredible stuff. But yeah, I do remember Wade saying something like, "Oh no, don't that is the Magog from like
Yeah.
this is
Earth
not
22 or whatever it
a
is, right?
variant. This is Magog from the Kingdom Come story we all know."
Yes.
So that basically means that it was just kind of like a thing of, did he have to go through different timelines, I guess, of Earth 22 to get to the Kingdom Come as we know it? But that's not the case. It's way less.
Yeah, it's way less complicated. It's just, and I think that question for us probably stemmed from that first issue where they go into that universe and they're like moving along that timeline where they start in the far future and then they get dragged back.
Right, because we had no idea that where Superman and Batman ended up right there
Right.
would be at the
And
epilogue.
and I right. And I think I don't think the ending for this really lands as nicely if you don't have that first moment when they
Right,
drop into the future.
right,
Because even before they understand of like what's happened in the last 30 years or whatever in this time in this world, you get an idea that like everything has gone wrong, because all
right.
these heroes are dead. There's like and there's very few left alive. So it's like it kind of sets the tone for what kind of story we're getting, and like where we'll see it come full circle in the end.
Yeah, yeah. But to catch everybody up, basically, last issue we found out that Gog basically has part of the anti-life equation, essentially, and
Yeah.
is basically influencing David and the rest of the heroes with it to basically do his bidding, and they they're pretty much nonchalant to it. They don't really feel like anything's happening to them, but they are being
Yeah.
coaxed by the anti-life equation. But basically, Gog's whole thing is he wants to exchange his anti-life equation with Darkseid in hopes he will get immortality. Which
I, is that what it is? I thought. Oh wait, were you saying Magog or
no,
Gog?
Gog.
I thought Gog was about to go wage war on
Yeah,
Apocalypse.
because he said that he basically he had the anti-life equation, and if he died or waged war with a new god, he would gain immortality eventually.
Okay, okay. I must have missed that. All right,
Yeah.
I didn't. I forgot about that. But yeah, no, that's right.
So basically, Magog, like an idiot, boom summons a boom tube and brings in Dan Mora's dark side. And Dan Mora's dark side, dude, is just
It's just
haunting.
ferocious, man.
Dude, and this dark side is, in my opinion, this is how dark side should always be written, like a force that just you
It's
know
it's cool, man, because like this issue and the last issue, like I think on like a technical level for Dan Mora, it's like up there with the last two issues of Once and Future
Yeah.
because there's so much happening. Like even in this first page, like it's and I don't want to give all the credit to him, even though like he is a rock star.
Yeah.
But like Tamra Bond villain on colors,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
it's insane. Like it's just crazy. Like this, they're a perfect match.
Yeah.
Like she's never missed, like ever.
No,
And
I
I think it's
Mora
so
actually
cool,
gets blessed often with great color,
dude. Yes,
even on Shazam.
him, Alejandro, yeah, Alejandro. I was just gonna say Alejandro Sanchez too. Like
Mhm.
he's got the perfect colorist, man.
Yeah.
Like they're just a perfect duos.
Yeah, that really makes us like art pop. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we see Darkseid basically come in, and both Supermen are basically saying like, "Hey, we'll take care of it. The rest of y'all need to run. Y'all need to get out of here because we're the only ones that could handle Darkseid here." Uh, More or less, basically, Batman says we need to get back because Gog had mentioned that basically the heroes he summoned the heroes to come to wage
Yeah.
war with Darkseid. So all the heroes are coming. And you see this image of both Supermen going at Darkseid, and like there's like four of them, and he's not phased. He is not phased at all. Uh, Basically, Darkseid does what he does. He Omega beams him, and
It's man, this is like it's so cool, man.
it is.
I just looking at these pages again, it has that very like Infinity War Thanos feel
Yeah,
at the end when he like when he drops into Wakanda and they're all trying to stop him and he
yeah,
just like uses the stone. You know what I mean? Like and even this the next couple pages when it's Wonder Woman and Green Lantern when they like
right.
bum rush him
hmm But
and he
what's
just
even
breaks the swords
funnier,
and knocks them out. I'm like, damn.
dude, even in this, like his arm, he just has his arms behind his back.
Yeah.
He's like he's still just tanking everything.
And he just like be like slaps away
Yeah, dude.
is it
Flash
Shazam?
goes
Oh,
after him.
Flash, yeah.
Flash goes after him. He just
Boom. Yeah.
yeah.
Omega Beam Shazam breaks the two swords and just like knocks him. Ah, dude, it's
And then
so
Darkseid says, "You appear to have something I desire. Relinquish it," which is basically the anti-life equation.
yeah.
And basically, you see this Wonder Woman and Green Lantern go in, quickly taken out as well. And here's where we get to a point where David actually wants to be useful, I guess, after both Batmen are taken out.
Yeah.
Uh, Basically, he knows that the anti-life equation is inside Gog, and if Darkseid ends up getting it, all free will for everybody is over, like always. Same song. So David says, I'm going to stop this. And he says, where two Kryptonians could not. And he says, I got one plan. And the reason is right here. And right there, he ends up killing Gog.
Yeah.
And basically, everybody is shocked that this happened. Like, Gog is dead. And Darkseid just immediately loses interest after this. He's just like, all right,
Yeah.
like that. Okay, there's no equation for me here. And frankly, what you did was pretty immature. And I'm not, you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
pretty,
Like it's interesting to see Darkseid basically be like, man, you took the easy way out, bro.
yeah,
Like you like this is not a victory for you, so stop pretending that you beat me.
right. Because that's exactly what he says. David's like, why are you turning around? We're not done. I just stopped you, and
Yeah.
and then David's like, I'm the hero, I win. And basically Darkseid said against Gog, perhaps. As for you and I, we both know better. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and whenever you cry out in your nightmares, it is Darkseid you will see, and he just dips out.
Yeah.
Just came in.
What just and like it's just such like a power move, man. To
Yeah.
be like, all right, the stuff that I came for is now gone. Later.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for this anymore.
Yeah. I'm not
It's
gonna waste my time. He says I'm not
it
gonna
just
waste my time
shows
with
like,
killing
man, and
Rick.
that's why I think those characters are so cool. Like I know like the fourth world characters kind of get like the Eternals treatment, and
Yeah.
like in the grand scope of things, but we have a handful of characters that are all interesting. Like you have Mr. Miracle, you've got Big Barda, you've got Darkseid, you've got like even Granny Goodness is cool sometimes.
Orion.
Yeah, Orion or Sunray, like all these characters that I just wish, man. tangent time. I wish we got the Jonathan Hickman Fourth World stuff
I
because
know.
it's so crazy,
It would have
man.
been he would have went so crazy with the Kirbyisms. He would have
I
dealt with
know it would be
it,
so cool, bro.
it would have been incredible
'Cause
stuff.
we would
But
also, I guarantee you, it would connect to his Legion too.
right. But I love that Mark Waid even treats Darkseid with like the utmost care when he's taking
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's I'm not gonna like make Darkseid a jobber for the story. I'm not gonna like you know what I mean? Like no,
Like,
Darkseid
yeah,
should
like,
be a
and I
force.
think Wade knows that he's supposed to command this, like he has this gravitas that's like, no matter, like, basically any room he's in, like everybody's like walking on eggshells.
Right. But I mean, tangent time a little bit over here. There Wade and like Morrison, I feel like are the in Johns to a degree, are the only ones that treat Darkseid like he's the final boss, like which he
Yeah,
should.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, everybody else, I feel like for their story, they will just have Darkseid get jobbed out of nowhere. Get you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
with I feel like with Morrison and Wade, they're like, no, like this is a dude outside of the multiverse that could literally destroy the multiverse. Like,
yeah. I like when he's treated like he is the end game,
yeah,
of DC.
yeah. And I mean, like, you really see it, like, at the end of the last issue, you really see the terror on like Batman's face where he's like,
Yeah,
we're too late. Like, we're too
yeah,
late.
like we're screwed. Yeah,
Yeah. So I love that the fear that Darkseid brings, like, he should be a force of just
yeah,
fear and death and basically just invincible evil. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? That's what he should be.
yeah,
And they nailed it. They nailed it with that. But anyways, now that Darkseid is left, David starts celebrating and he's like, "Hey, we won. Like, who's ready to celebrate?" And basically, Superman, his Superman that trained him,
yeah,
main universe Superman, he starts saying like, "David, what have you done?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You just murdered Gog in cold blood." And he's like,
yeah.
"So I was the only one that would do it. I was the only one that would step up. Everything else." And it's like,
Yeah, talking about how many people he saved, like how he basically, like he even says like it's a 2 for 1, you know?
right. But
Like
this
you
is
should be
also
throwing me a party.
foreshadowing. This is also foreshadowing
Yes.
what's going to
Yes. I
happen.
was I was just gonna say that. Like the way he reacts to like what Darkseid says to him and to what Batman and Superman say to him, it's on brand, dude. Like
Yeah,
for him, like in the future. Like when we get to Kingdom Come, it's very in line with like where we see his progression, you
yeah.
know?
It's so cool. I love how Wade just keeps everything on a tightrope and he just walks it perfectly.
Mhm.
It's just awesome. And he basically the other Superman says, that's not the only measure of morality, David. You repelled Darkseid, but you did cross a line. And basically, he's like, what else? Victory was literally in his grasp. And Batman's like, but you ignored me. You had options. By God's own admission, every hero on Earth was already on their way here. I told you explicitly to bring reinforcements so we could regroup. Instead, you did what? You hid until you thought you had a chance to step, no choice but to step up. And even then, Superman comes in. He's like, "You took the easy way. That doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a weapon." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,
The other thing I keep thinking about is like if you go back to the Boy Thunder arc,
yeah,
you know, and you see David as a kid there, and he's like he's obviously like he just escaped from the collapse of his universe, but like a lot of his reactions to things, like he's angry, he chooses like the easy way, the easy option. Like there are so many points that lead, like so many times when he's working with the Titans or when he's working with Batman and Superman in that arc, when he's like ready to fry heads, you know what I mean? So like it's a very consistent like attitude for him that like even though he finally gets what he wants, he has the power. He like, he saved the day. It's still not enough. Like
right,
it's at the end of the day, he is still just a child. Like he's never grown up. He's just been handed like he's been handed like opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to like grow as a hero, and he just chooses not to.
right." And he's also like one. He basically we see even when he shows up out of his dimension, he's basically a very impulse. He basically makes every impulsive move of his emotions because
Yeah,
that ship that he came through was supposed to save his parents too, but he went in there and messed with it, turned it on, and that's how he ended up here. like in the main universe. That's so he basically screwed his parents on accident by just being impulsively curious about the
Yeah.
thing, which brought it over here. So it's always this thing of his choices bearing so much weight over people's lives, even
Right.
that first
Right.
one he ever
And
did.
what I find really interesting about that is like he's up until right now, he's almost managed to avoid consequence every time.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't have to stick around and watch his parents die. I mean, even though he knew that they weren't, that they were gone, he 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 escaped. He made it out. He survived the collapse of his universe. He he manages to escape at the end of the Boy Thunder arc. He doesn't have to really deal with the consequences of almost killing like a thug. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and then when he ends up here, he can escape any consequence because he's like a direct line to the person that's influencing this entire world.
Right.
So none of his actions have any consequence against him because he has the power of the world at his fingertips this whole
Right.
time. But
Exactly.
now there's nothing left. He has to face it now.
Right. And basically that's what he basically turns basically like a child that we were talking about, and he's like, basically, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna throw me in the Phantom Zone for this? What do you want from me now? And Superman's like, I wish I had an answer. I truly do. And he just like, you know what, screw you guys. I'm out of here. And we see him walk off just like a pissed off child would, you know.
Yeah. Well,
And
and I think they make a lot. I like this like interaction between them all
mhm,
because it really shows like this conversation goes back. Like people have this conversation about like should they kill, should they not kill, like and why they don't, you know. But this is a good example of like of why I think these heroes have that moral compass of like we don't kill because like you have Batman saying things like we just traded one killer for another,
right,
you know, like while there, I'm sure that there are like situations outside of this, where that might be acceptable or where it might be the only option.
right,
But like this again shows David's like inexperience and immaturity as a hero because he's not taking into account every bit of context that's happened in this battle. Like Batman even says, by Gog's own admission, every hero was on their way here. Like, and had it turned into we all just band together and like stall him for time, it would have been a very different fight, you know?
right,
But like and that's a what if scenario. Like we don't know what would have happened had all the heroes arrived in time and it was all of them against Darkseid protecting Gog. We don't know.
right,
Like and we don't know what the fallout of that would have been because that leads to something completely different. That wouldn't even have been Kingdom Come. You know what I mean?
right. Because
So
what if basically they did all show up and then Darkseid did get the anti-life equation and then it could have
yeah,
went
like and yeah, or there's
different.
a million other ways that could have played out. They repel Darkseid, Gog comes back, or they defeat Gog another way, and the anti-life equation is still kicking around somewhere else.
Right,
Like and there's a million what ifs now because of the potential of that. But like, I don't know. It's like this is kind of like the only path that leads to Kingdom Come, and
right,
for David, like every step of the way since his first appearance in this series has been like leading to that moment to where he kills the Joker.
right. And
And this is where he crosses that line. Like this is
yeah,
where he thinks that it's okay because he has this like he thinks that these heroes have this moral superiority over him, but like he understands that like, well, if you're not going to make the hard choice, I will.
right.
Which is exactly where and that's why Kingdom Come happens because it's literally 20 years later,
Yeah,
or
Matt
whatever.
Lois Lane gets killed by the Joker, so he says,
Yeah.
"I'm going to kill you." And we saw in that Boy Thunder arc that he said, "I don't care how long it. If I
Yeah.
run to you,
If it's tomorrow or 20 years from now, I will kill you. Yeah.
yeah." So it all just kind of just with like but this is one thing also I got to say that I love that I notice more with DC than I do with Marvel because I notice more like the Avengers they'll kill if they have to
Yeah.
kill they'll kill, and it's almost like Cap. I specifically every time I think about that, what comes to mind is that Hickman run where basically Cap basically sends Thor to talk to like the gardeners, remember, and Thor throws
Oh,
like
during Infinity, yeah.
and then basically throws it through him, and he's like, and Cap's like, they can bleed, we can kill them, we could defeat them. Like that was their first, when in DC, in my opinion, they would have looked for any way not to do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
which like, and I think that's very in line with what like the history of both universes. You know what I mean? Like Marvel's always toted this more realistic, grounded, like gritty, almost like grittier
Yeah.
experience with comics, whereas DC has always provided this, like literally the world's greatest superheroes.
Yeah,
Like
I look
the
at it as like gods being respectable with their power, and basically with Marvel, it's like these people needing to fight gods.
Exactly, yeah. Like it's gods posing as men in the DC universe, to showing us like what the best of humanity can be. Whereas like Marvel is just most of the time like human level people just punching up. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
basically trying to prove their place in the universe and
Yeah,
why they deserve to be there.
right. So that's why I love that contrast between it. But
Yeah,
then we see our main universe Superman basically start lashing out at this universe of Superman. And
yeah,
he's like, why didn't you teach him better? Well, since he's been here, it was up to you to set an example. People like David, they look up to you. And this guy says, that's not the first time you've accused me of not doing my job. I don't like it. And basically he says, what makes you so sure I don't care enough? And he's like, because I've seen it. And we go back to that moment where they see in the future all those headstones of what will happen to all the
yeah.
heroes in the future. He basically says, like, hey, I know what happens in the future. Batman stops him, and basically we see the Spectre show up, one of the main plot devices of Kingdom Come. And he,
Before we get into the Spectre stuff, I I I don't know if you've noticed this, but I mean, even I think since that Boy Thunder arc, we've seen Clark get angry a lot.
yes,
And you can attribute it to the fact that they're still pretty early on in their superhero career during this book. But it also shows like a really good like duality with Clark and David. They're both like uber powerful, and they have like they're essentially god level, characters in that respect, like with how powerful they can be. But it just shows you like how susceptible they both are to those emotions.
well, I
And
also think that Superman is frustrated with David because that's like his
yeah,
biggest failure. Like his
yeah,
failure is
exactly. And instead of him like acknowledging, like, maybe, and he has acknowledged that he has failed David in some way,
that's
but
why he
like
promised,
he
I'm
has
gonna save you. I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna save you. I have.
yes, like, and he's, yeah, I think that's what it was. It's like he was so hung up on like, I can save David, I can fix it, I can bring him back, that he wasn't willing to finally, he's finally accepting the fact that I can't.
Right.
It's not my job, and I can't be responsible for the choices that he makes. So it's interesting to see like that parallel between him and David, and they have like that anger streak. But I'm almost willing to bet that we don't really see him react this way after this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's been a really interesting arc to see him from like issue 7, and him kind of like come full circle and see like, hey, like it's not on me.
Right. Because
And
remember when
I
David
don't
was
think he,
kidnapped. When David was kidnapped, he was
yeah,
in rage. Like,
yeah, yeah.
you
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't think that he realizes that lesson without Bruce
of course.
either. Like, and that's why this book only works with both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
And
I
it's
like it.
it's fantastic. But basically the Spectre shows up, and basically the Spectre's just like, funny too that of course Batman already knows about him. Main universe Batman. He's
Yeah,
similar to Mars, I presume, a near omnipotent spirit beholden to some higher power.
I love the way that he's drawn in this too, man.
Yeah.
It's got that like radiant, like, you remember how we were talking about Jamal Campbell, like when Superman started, how the way that he, like, it looks like you could see the light on the
Yeah.
page. That is this, man. Because this
Yeah,
is exactly how like Ross would draw the Spectre. That
that's
like bright, it's overly shining.
that's Tamara Bondville and doing that, man.
Dude,
She's
yeah,
more
man.
magic right
So
there.
so cool, bro. So
Yeah.
cool.
And basically says the crisis has passed. It is time I return you home. Superman's like, no, I want to know what happens with David. And then we see basically Spectre foreshadow everything that's going to happen in the future with Kingdom Come. And he says, some years from now, David will make a decision he will come to regret profoundly. He will indeed take another life, one familiar to you both. Joker.
Mhm.
This Superman, already broken by the Joker's crimes against his own loved ones, will be forced by David's ruthlessness to question his own effectiveness. As a result, the citizens of Metropolis will laud David for making them feel safer, proclaiming Superman's moral code to be obsolete, his efforts no longer of value. Convinced the world has moved beyond him, he will surrender his role of protector to a younger cadre of heroes and retreat to his fortress. And this inadvertently setting in motion a devastating chain of events beyond his control. And we see basically the fight between Superman and Shazam before the nuke drops. And basically, Superman's basically in a daze from this, and Batman's trying to bring him back. Like, Clark, listen to me. Don't you see? It wasn't that their Superman wouldn't help those in need. No Superman is capable of that. His mistake was thinking he wasn't needed, but he was wrong. Every world needs a Superman. It's like, I love their brother. Like, they're, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would rather this than what everybody wants to do and make them fight. Like, I would rather
Yeah.
this. You
Yeah.
know,
100%, man. Like
it's it's so cool. Like, these guys are brothers. They love each other. Like, you can really tell.
it's so funny, man, because like I'll be the first to admit, like I've never been big on Batman. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm not big on Batman. I'm not big on Superman. Like my interests are really like a lot of the other characters in DC or even in Marvel. But
Yeah.
like how tight these two are, man. I really like it.
Yeah.
Like they might be one of my favorite duos up there with like Bill and Thor. You
Yeah.
know, after reading this series, like after having read this series for 25 issues with like everything, included, like man, yeah, they're an awesome pair. Like they're
Yeah.
just so cool together and they work so well together because they're just complete opposites.
Right. But they balance
And
each other out, like,
yes,
from that, it's so perfect.
yeah, I really enjoy the dynamic between these two. Like I just don't want this series to end.
No, I know. I
Like
know.
ever. Like, give me
Like,
give me
Wade's
50 issues
versions
of
of
this,
both.
man. Give me 50 issues of this and we're good.
Yeah.
You know
Like,
what I
Wade's
mean?
versions
Like,
of both are like my ideal now.
mhm,
But
mhm.
you know what I mean? But we see basically in the future, where they had a glimpse of, David is at the headstones. He's older and he's crying and he says, "This is all my fault. I am a weapon, nothing but a," and he says, "Please forgive me." So he eventually comes to, and his Superman basically comes up behind him here and says, "Hello, David." And he says, "Are you my Superman?" And he says, "A long time ago, you asked me what I wanted from you. I didn't have an answer, but I do now. You can't change what you've done. The mistakes of the past can't be erased. But they can be tempered by the actions of the future. You've acknowledged your mistakes. Now burn your regrets. Use their fire to light a better path. Just pick yourself up and just do better. After all that's happened, I believe you still can." And Superman and Batman fade away. And we see David say, "I will." And we get this amazing final page with Magog being the leader of the new generation of heroes.
Like you have that new Batman, you have that big mech suit Batman, you have like a Batman style Robin. You've
Yeah.
got you've got this like Flash down here at the bottom. That's a
Yeah.
sick ass design, bro.
Dude, I know that looks like Godspeed and, like,
It
early Wally put together.
do you remember that like Elseworlds Flash where he has like the whole like he's like that armored suit and he has like the yellow mouthpiece? I'd have to pull up the picture and send it to you, but like it kind of reminds me of that. But this is cool, man, with a little bit of a hair sticking out.
Yeah, you can see Dan Morris really, like, flexing, like, what he was doing with, like, Power Rangers and stuff like that
Yeah,
here. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, but what
Like
an
it looks
awesome
like
final page. And Mora himself actually posted and said that final page is one of the most, like, proud,
yeah.
things he's done.
Like the
So,
things he's the most proud of in his career.
yeah,
There's
because
that Blue Lantern right here. This like Green Arrow. A Blue Beetle down here at the bottom. Looks like Zatanna maybe.
yeah,
Doctor Fate. Look maybe Cyborg. I can't tell. A Blue Lightning. A Red Robin. A Metamorpho. That's
it's
cool,
insane.
man.
It is
That's cool.
awesome.
I like that.
And
That's tight.
I mean, what a great ending, like I said, for this arc and for Kingdom Come in general. Like,
Yeah.
for Wade to have, like, pulled that off, and do it no problem either. Like
Yeah.
it just felt so natural, like the way he put stuff together and the way he did this. I don't know. Waid continues to be my favorite chef in the kitchen over at DC,
Yes, sir.
and
Well,
Absolute Power. Absolute
I'll
Power.
say that that's a perfect segue into Absolute Power because that's going to be starting in June, I
Yep.
think. The first the prologue issue, whatever, the prelude.
Right. And for
Um,
people who don't know, Absolute Power is going to be the summer events. It's going to be 25 issues, four main
so
issues.
yeah, so Absolute Power, it's going to start with the prelude issue, like most of DC's events do these days. You have like the alpha or whatever they're going to call it, or I think it's like it might be ground zero or something. But yeah, that'll kick off the event and set the stage for the 4-part miniseries that'll be like coming out over the next those few months in the summer. But there are 20 as of right now. We don't even there could be more that are announced later on, but as of right now, we've got 25 issues like tying into the event total, and they appear to all be written by Waid.
Right.
So it's on one hand, it could kind of be a disaster if he's like too stretched too thin and just writing all this stuff. But on the other hand, if he's bringing his A game, which he has the last forever,
Yeah.
you know, we're lucky, man, because it'll be very consistent. Like all of the plot threads, everybody's story arcs in that will be very consistent. And this will be I don't know that we've seen this before from DC. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it makes me wonder if this was like something obviously editorial is like, hey, we got to do like a big summer event and we want to connect it to everything else because we're doing all of the events we're doing because this ties together all of the Amanda Waller stuff that's been happening like in Titans and Green Arrow over the like most of the DCU, and then you have like the Zurinar stuff from Batman,
And then we have Brainiac.
and then
Brainiac.
you have House of Brainiac with the Brainiac Queen and how that will all tie together and then like
Right.
kind of set the stage for what's after this for the DC universe.
Right. But what would be really interesting is for those main issues, I believe Mora's doing the art, but this is
Yeah,
where we're gonna see Wade and Mora do current of these characters. Like
yes,
not set in the past, not,
yeah,
like this is gonna be so it's gonna be cool to kind of see the different, I feel like, ways that Wade's gonna probably write them with a little more
yeah,
experience and being hardened a little more.
yeah. What should be nice is we'll get Wade will probably get to write Wally again for this event.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So I'm at least excited for that.
Yeah.
And if there's a Flash tie-in and he's writing it, dude, we're
Oh yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
I this could be cool. Maybe he could do something with Barry. He's never done a big Barry story before.
Right. He's done
I don't
some
know.
big fake out stories, but
Yeah,
you
you know what
know,
I mean? I don't know. It could be cool.
I
I
would
mean,
love it.
regardless, Absolute Power looks to be pretty good, man. I've been kind of off the event hype train for a while, you know. Like Blood Hunt's coming in a few months. I'll read it, but I'm not like
Right.
Beast World was kind of a dud at the end.
Mhm.
Um I mean the last event I was like super hyped for was probably Judgment Day, and I love Judgment Day. That was great.
Well, DC has all the confidence in Wade, and so do I. I'd be
That's what I'm
worried if it
saying.
wasn't Wade.
Like Absolute Power, man. I'm in. It's
Yeah,
gonna be tight. I'm looking forward to it. Him and Mora are an all-star team.
yeah,
So
one of
we
the
got
best.
4 issues of them just wrecking shop, dude. Let's do it.
That
I'm,
duo is the world's finest, man.
that's right.
you
All
know.
right, guys. Thanks for tuning in again, and we will catch you next week.
All right, later on, guys.